When my family tried to take my son, claiming I was too young to raise him, my family believed I was too young to parent my newborn son and attempted to have my grieving sister-in-law take him, even consulting lawyers to seize him from me. What happens when sorrow spirals into fixation? One mother's gut-wrenching fight to shield her child from her own family's distorted schemes will leave you stunned. I'm Kane, a 30-year-old woman who welcomed my first child 3 weeks ago. My son, Oliver, is healthy and wonderful. My husband, Isaac, 35, and I have been together for 7 years, married for 2. We both work in it and live 4 hours from my family. The trouble started when I announced my pregnancy at 6 months. My brother Victor, 35, and his wife, Emily, 34, had been trying for a child for 5 years. Emily suffered 2 miscarriages early on, then nothing for years. Last December, she carried a pregnancy to 7 months before losing it, devastating them both. When I shared my pregnancy news, Emily fled the room in tears, Victor trailing behind, and they didn't return. My mother, Julia, 65, later told me Emily sobbed for hours that night. I empathized with her pain but couldn't hide my pregnancy forever. Things turned odd afterward. Emily began emailing me articles about pregnancy complications and stillbirths. She'd call my parents, asking detailed questions about my health and doctor visits. At Christmas, she touched my belly without permission and made comments about being the best caregiver for my child. My mother raised Victor and me after our father's death when I was 15. She's always been protective, especially of Victor, who stayed near home while I moved away for college and work. She treats Emily like the daughter she never had. Post-Christmas, my mother started peculiar conversations, questioning if Isaac and I were ready for parenthood, citing our long work hours, savings, and apartment size. She kept mentioning Emily's part-time remote job, implying it left more time for childcare. I thought she was just worried about me as a first-time mom far from family. Then, in February, 8 months pregnant, she called with a chilling suggestion. She said Emily was struggling deeply after her loss, and a grief counselor suggested being around infants might help her heal. My mother proposed Emily stay with us for a few weeks after Oliver's birth to assist and bond with him. I firmly refused. That's when she revealed her real plan. She suggested that since I was young with a demanding career, it might be better if Emily and Victor raised Oliver. They had a house with a yard, Emily could be a stay-at-home mom, and they were older and more financially stable. I hung up, reeling. That night, alone in our nursery, surrounded by items we'd bought for our baby, I grappled with my mother's suggestion to give my child to my brother's wife. Calls followed the next day, not just from my mother but from Victor, too. He said Emily was barely eating or sleeping, had turned their spare room into a nursery, and was buying baby clothes. He believed caring for a child could help her, claiming it would benefit Oliver, too, since Isaac and I weren't married, lived in a small apartment, and worked long hours. I countered that we planned to marry before the baby arrived and that many working parents raise happy kids. Victor called me selfish, stressing family duty. The pressure escalated over the next weeks. My mother called, crying about Emily's decline. My Aunt Clara, 54, my mother's sister, joined in, saying the family was worried about Emily and that I could help. Emily never called me directly but commented on my social media. When I posted about our nursery, she noted having the same crib. When I mentioned baby clothes, she said she'd bought newborn and 3-month sizes. At 38 weeks pregnant, I hit my limit. Emily and Victor showed up unannounced at our apartment on a Saturday morning while Isaac was at the store. Emily barged past me to the nursery, rearranging items and talking about setting up their home for Oliver. She'd brought a car seat, insisting on installing it for when they took him home. I demanded she leave. Emily collapsed, kneeling in the nursery, begging to have my baby, claiming God took her child so she could raise mine, promising I could still be involved. Victor tried calming her, but she screamed that it was unfair I had a healthy baby when I didn't want one as much as she did, calling me too young and selfish to parent well. I called the police. By the time they arrived, Isaac was back and had calmed Emily. The police took statements, called it a family matter, and suggested a restraining order if we felt unsafe. The next day, Isaac and I married at the courthouse to secure our parental rights and block family interference. Oliver was born 2 weeks later. We didn't tell my family I was in labor. My mother learned of the birth through a mutual friend who saw Isaac's social media post. The calls resumed immediately. My mother wept about missing her grandson's birth. Victor was upset we hadn't invited them. Emily's response terrified me most. She called from Victor's phone, and when I answered, thinking it was him, she spoke excitedly about seeing her son, saying she'd prepared his room and taken time off work. She genuinely believed Oliver would be hers. Isaac and I cut contact, blocked their numbers, and privatized our social media. My mother sent letters and packages, which we returned unopened. A cousin revealed Emily was telling their church we were struggling, and that they planned to adopt our baby, soliciting donations for supplies, and showing off a nursery to visitors. My mother told relatives we were swayed by Isaac's family, but would eventually see reason, claiming Emily just needed time with Oliver. I never imagined my mother would support someone else's claim to my child. I thought families protected each other, not schemed to take what mattered most. Isaac has been incredible, and his parents, though far away, offered support and even help relocating. They were shocked by my family's actions. We're considering moving before Oliver grows older to avoid living in fear of my brother and his wife trying to take him. I don't want Oliver growing up thinking he belongs to someone else. The hardest part is mourning the family ties I thought I had. I believed my mother would always support me, that my brother would be a protective uncle. Instead, they've chosen Emily's delusion over my rights as Oliver's mother. I wonder if I'm too harsh. Emily's trauma is real, and grief can drive desperate acts. But wanting to parent someone else's child goes beyond grief. It's deeply unsettling. Isaac suggests hiring a lawyer to document everything for future protection. Part of me hopes Emily's recovery will resolve this, but another part fears this is our new reality. I just want to raise my son in peace, without constantly watching my back. I never thought motherhood would mean losing my family. Update 1. The situation worsens. Oliver is now 11 weeks old and thriving. The newborn phase is tough, but Isaac and I are managing. I plan to return to work soon. A month ago, I contacted my mother's pastor, Pastor Harris, 50, who officiated Victor and Emily's wedding, hoping he could help Emily see her behavior as unhealthy. I explained everything during a Tuesday evening call. He listened patiently, noting he'd seen concerning signs from Emily, but hadn't grasped the full situation. He said Emily had been in counseling for her loss, which seemed normal, but she'd started mentioning a baby joining their family soon, dodging details when pressed. Pastor Harris promised to meet with Emily and Victor to address their unhealthy path and offered to mediate a family discussion if we agreed. I gave him 2 weeks to try, then we'd reassess. The first week was quiet, no calls, visits, or packages. Isaac and I hoped professional intervention was working. Then Pastor Harris called with a disturbing update. He'd met with Victor and Emily 3 times. Initially, Victor seemed to realize their plan was unrealistic, admitting Emily's grief had clouded their judgment and that they should respect our choice to keep Oliver. But Emily reacted differently, claiming I'd asked them to raise Oliver because Isaac and I weren't ready, insisting our no-contact stance was temporary stress. She had detailed plans for Oliver's christening, first Christmas, and first school day, speaking as if he already lived with them. In the second meeting, Pastor Harris tried to clarify that Oliver belonged with us. Emily grew furious, accusing him of misinterpreting God's plan, saying her baby died so she could raise Oliver. By the third meeting, Victor had reversed course, defending Emily's hope for a family and calling me cruel for denying Oliver her love. Pastor Harris ended their counseling, urging them to seek professional help elsewhere, warning that Emily's grip on reality was slipping. He also shared that Emily had been helping in the church nursery, calling one baby practice for Oliver. The baby's parents asked her to stop, but she persisted, leading to her ban from the nursery after a public outburst. Isaac and I installed security cameras, changed our locks, and altered our routines, avoiding online posts. 2 weeks later, our neighbor, Mrs. Carter, 45, reported a woman claiming to be my sister asking about our schedules and habits in our building's lobby. Mrs. Carter, sensing something off, gave no details. She described the woman as blonde, about 33, in a pink sweater with a diaper bag, clearly Emily. That day, my cousin Ava, 24, said Emily was posting in local parenting forums, asking about transitioning babies to new caregivers and adoption timelines, clearly planning for Oliver. Ava also said my mother was telling relatives I had postpartum depression and needed help, but was too stubborn to accept it, framing herself as a caring grandmother without mentioning Emily's claims. We sent a certified letter to my mother, Victor, and Emily stating Oliver would stay with us and warning of legal action for interference. Victor called 2 days later, furious, accusing us of cruelty and claiming Emily was recovering until our letter set her back. He said she now believed we were under outside influence but was more determined to protect Oliver. I told him Emily's recovery couldn't jeopardize our safety. He called me selfish, saying she just needed time. I realized Victor shared Emily's delusion, believing their desire for a child justified taking mine. We began looking for apartments elsewhere, preparing to relocate if needed, and consulted a family lawyer. She reviewed our evidence and confirmed grounds for a restraining order if Emily made further contact. She advised documenting everything for potential court use. I never thought I'd need legal protection from my family, but Emily's unpredictability, enabled by my mother and Victor, left us no choice. Oliver grows daily, and I want to cherish these months, not fear for his safety. Update 2. A shocking discovery: Oliver is 7 months old, crawling and joyful. Isaac and I have settled into parenting, and I've been back at work for 3 months. Things were calm until last week when Ava, my cousin, called with alarming news. As a social worker in my mother and Victor's county, she was assigned a case about a couple trying to buy a baby illegally. During a home visit, she discovered it was Victor and Emily. A neighbor reported Emily discussing a suspicious private adoption, showing off a nursery without a legitimate agency involved. Ava recused herself, but learned Victor and Emily had paid thousands to an online scammer posing as an adoption facilitator. Other couples were also duped. The investigator found the nursery was tailored for Oliver, with his photos from Isaac's social media framed on the walls, clothes bought for his growth stages, and a photo album Emily created as if she'd been there for his milestones. She had a timeline for when she expected us to realize we couldn't parent and hand Oliver over. The social worker called it a profound delusion. Victor had researched grandparents' rights and legal ways to challenge our custody, consulting lawyers about claiming we were unfit. The county closed the case, deeming them victims of the scam, but mandated Emily's mental health evaluation due to her detachment from reality. Ava shared this out of concern for our safety, noting no legal enforcement prevented their contact with children. We met our lawyer the next day, who urged an immediate protective order and thorough documentation of our stable home and Oliver's care. On Wednesday, we secured an order barring Victor, Emily, and my mother from coming within 600 feet of us or contacting us through others. We thought this would end it, but on Friday, my mother confronted Isaac at his workplace, bypassing security. She begged him to let Emily see Oliver, claiming it was her only path to recovery, even offering to pay our rent and childcare for supervised visits. When Isaac refused, saying Emily needed professional help, she accused him of turning me against my family and ruining Emily's happiness. Isaac recorded the exchange, which security used to remove her, and his employer filed a police report for violating the protective order. We decided to move. Isaac's company approved a transfer to another state, and my job allows remote work. We're not sharing our new location with my family, only telling Ava we're leaving without giving an address. The social worker's report and Emily's adoption scam involvement showed her behavior was escalating. The photo album, her detailed fantasy of Oliver's life with her, is chilling. We hired movers through Isaac's company to leave no trace. Some may think we're overreacting, but Oliver deserves a life free from this threat. I'm grieving the family I thought I had, but protecting the one we've built is worth it. Update 3. A new beginning: Oliver is 15 months old, walking everywhere, and thriving in our new city where we've lived for 8 months. Isaac loves his new job, and I've excelled remotely. Our family-friendly apartment and Oliver's daycare feel safe. The constant fear has faded, though I was jumpy at first. We've made friends unaware of our past, building a new life. 2 months ago, Ava shared that Emily was hospitalized for 3 weeks after a nervous breakdown. Victor, in solo counseling, admitted to enabling Emily's delusion, believing we'd eventually surrender Oliver. He realized this prevented her from processing her grief. After her release, they moved to Emily's sister's state for a fresh start. My mother, however, explored grandparents' rights laws, consulting lawyers to challenge our custody, believing we'd relent to avoid court. She told relatives she was just trying to help, but her actions crossed a line. Ava asked if I'd share contact info for my mother to reconnect. I declined. Her willingness to legally undermine us is unforgivable for now. Isaac and I may reconsider family contact later, but not yet. Oliver loves books, blocks, and giggles adorably. I wonder about the family ties he might have had, but Emily's photo album, a curated fantasy of him as hers, reminds me we made the right choice. We plan to grow our family soon, keeping it private from my original family. Our new life isn't perfect but feels good. Oliver has playdates and normal childhood joys. Isaac's parents visit often, offering loving, non-intrusive grandparenting. Some may think I should have helped Emily more or given my mother another chance, but Oliver's safety comes first. He's not a tool to fix someone's trauma. The restraining order remains, unused since moving, but we keep records for protection. Leaving family wasn't easy, but peace was worth it. Oliver will grow up knowing he's loved for who he is, not as someone's replacement. For others facing boundary-violating family, trust your instincts. Your child's well-being trumps all. We're building new traditions, and Oliver will never know the chaos of his first year, exactly as it should be. Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.